Ladies and gentlemen, we will get started in about 2 minutes. So this is your 2-minute warning, and we will begin the program. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like everybody has responded to my request except President Rodney Rogers, who is still working the room, recruiting students. Welcome all to really this celebration of what is right about Bowling Green State University and higher education. We very much value your attendance today. We so much value and appreciate two former governors of Ohio who have joined us for this special luncheon. It's my first honor to introduce the president of Bowling Green State University, the 12th president of Bowling Green, and the first president, I believe, who is an alum of the university, receiving his undergraduate degree with that tremendous class of 1981. Maybe he'll explain that. President Rogers is widely recognized as one of the most innovative higher education leaders in the Midwest, but most of all, one of the most student-centered presidents around. In recognition of its success and its strategic pursuits, BGSU continues to be ranked as a Tier 1 university. And most of all, the most special thing I think that can be said about this university is it is ranked #1 in the Midwest in students who would go back again, who would choose Bowling Green State University for their higher education. And when you think about that, you choose a spouse, would you choose that person again? A job, would you choose that person again? Living in a certain city, would you choose that place again? Those are important decisions, aren't they? Well, BGSU students would choose this place again more than any other university in the Midwest. I think that says a lot about this university. So, Mr. President, thank you for leading this great university and putting this on an unmistakably positive trajectory, and for your decision to establish the Democracy and Public Policy Network. Ladies and gentlemen, President Rodney Rogers.
Chancellor Gardner, thank you so much. The Honorable Randy Gardner, former Chancellor of the Ohio Department of Higher Education, former state senator, the list goes on in terms of his public service, and a graduate of Eastwood High School, right? But the 81 reference was we graduated the same day from Bowling Green State University in 1981, and thank you for that, that introduction. And the Wall Street Journal ranking, you're right, #1 in the Midwest, but the only thing I would add, for 5 years in a row now, #1. So, but a big part of that is, quite honestly, the faculty, the staff, the community, the students at this great institution coming together, debating ideas, supporting each other, challenging each other. That's what universities should do. And this center, the first inaugural leadership luncheon that we are holding for the Democracy and Public Policy Research Network, is another example of how we believe a public university for the public good should be absolutely involved in the dialogue about important issues of our day, including how our government works, how our democracy works. And today we are absolutely honored to have two former governors of this great state with us today. And the formal introductions will be done in a few moments. But the 64th governor, Richard Celeste, Governor Celeste is with us with all sorts of background and leadership and public service, and you'll hear more about that. And then the 67th governor, Robert Taft, Bob Taft. Both individuals, one is a Democrat, one is a Republican, but they're both united in serving the state and continuing to do a variety of public service, I would argue, by their role in education and in other activities they've done since they are no longer governor, but they are still involved in public policy and in public debate. So we are very fortunate to have both former governors with us today. I'm excited about the conversation that we will have right after lunch. As I mentioned, that is exactly what public universities should do, bringing people together. And look at this room. We've got high school students. We've got current BGSU students. I know we have alums. We've got our faculty and our staff all coming together on this very, very important occasion. So again, I want to thank our two speakers. And then I also want to acknowledge and thank Dr. Rob Alexander. And I get to introduce Dr. Alexander, which I know he's here somewhere. I hope he's here, in fact, right in front of me. Make your way up here. But Dr. Alexander is the founding director of the Democracy and Public Policy Network. And we were able to hire Dr. Alexander about a year ago, and an opportunity to come here. But I want to be clear that it is a network, and it is working while Dr. Alexander is the founder and leading these efforts. I just want to again express my appreciation for all the faculty, staff, and students who have become a part of this network, that have bought into this idea of bringing people together to talk about democracy, to talk about public policy, to talk about how do we continue to strengthen our democracy. It starts right here at this institution, and it has the opportunity to have influence across the state and across the nation. So Dr. Alexander, it's great to have you at Bowling Green, of course. Congratulations to you and your colleagues for this wonderful event. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Robert Alexander.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. We've made it this far and nobody has acknowledged that it's April Fool's Day and we're having a political conversation today. The Greek philosopher Plato once opined that if you do not take an interest in the affairs of your government, then you are doomed to live under the rule of fools. Let us take an interest in politics. Let us take an interest in our civic life, not only this day, but in every day moving forward. It is a true honor for this kid from Fostoria, Ohio, whose parents worked at the spark plug factory and lived on Laurel Drive, to be sitting here with these governors here today, Governor Celeste and Taft. It's something I never would have dreamed of. My first job out of graduate school was as a visiting assistant professor right here at Bowling Green State University. 2 decades later, I was able to come back to BG thanks to President Rogers' bold vision of BG's responsibility to be a place for the public good, to Dean Ellen Schendel's commitment to innovation and excellence, and due to Mark Simone's dedication to all things that work to lift up Bowling Green State University. I'm sure many of you have been fortunate enough to have known Mark. He was my department chair all those years ago, and he was my chair when I came back. We tragically lost Mark this past fall, and I'm certain that the depot, and certainly not me, would be here today if not for him. His wife, Maria, is here today, and along with Mark, they have done much to support the Bowling Green community. I want to thank you for all that you've done, all that Mark has done, and I just want to have a brief moment in Mark's memory. Thank you. Mark would be absolutely delighted, and he was delighted, to have Randy Gardner's leadership with the depot. Randy, as Rodney mentioned, longtime legislator, chancellor of higher education, spitter of all kinds of trivia. He has been it's been an incredible honor to work with him this year. We're fortunate to have him. Thank you, Randy. I want to also recognize the students that have worked closely with the Democracy and Public Policy Network. Samantha Conrad, who you're going to hear from in just a moment, Maria Leteri, and Samantha Perry. They have been instrumental in launching the Democracy Exchange podcast, and they have a bright future, and they've set an awfully high bar for future students who will be working with the depot. The network emphasizes the importance of civics, civility, and civic literacy through public engagement. We do this through our podcast, we do this through the BGSU YouGov poll, and we do this through public events. We have conducted 3 iterations of the Bowling Green State University poll with the support of my colleagues, Dr. Josh Boston, Dr. Melissa Miller, and Dr. David Jackson. Local, state, and national media have covered these polls extensively, and they have told us a lot about where Ohioans stand on a variety of issues. Millions of eyeballs have been on the eyes of these polls. People are paying attention to BGSU. In addition to the media coverage, scholars are using data from these polls for academic publications. We also co-sponsored BGSU's Day of Dialogue with the Division of Inclusion and Belonging and the Marvin Center for Student Leadership and Civic Engagement. We co-sponsored Colin Woodard's Talk on American Character with the Division of Student Engagement and Success, along with the Division of Inclusion and Belonging. Of course, today is yet another major event for us, and one we expect to hold annually. We are thankful to see so many members of our community here, as well as so many members of these high schools that are here today. Thank you for coming. As I mentioned, our students have taken the reins of this Democracy Exchange podcast and have produced a full season of episodes, including an upcoming one with Governors Celeste and Taft. They just did that like minutes ago. So be on the lookout for it. You should like, comment, and subscribe to the Democracy Exchange podcast. It really is quite an accomplishment given that the page was blank just a few months ago. Sam will tell you about another initiative designed to foster dialogue and understanding, point and counterpoint. Students Elise Adrian and Casey Knudsen went to a conference on civic engagement earlier this fall, came back with an idea to establish a group that would facilitate conversation around difficult topics in a structured environment. I want to thank Lindsay Johns of the Marvin Center, who accompanied Elise and Casey to that conference. Please let me just note what an incredible partner the Marvin Center has been for us under the leadership of Jacob Clemens and Kendra Lutz. We have been able to support one another in a variety of ways, and they have been critical in the planning of today's event. Can we all give them a round of applause? Thank you very much. Finally, I want to recognize the first class of Pi Sigma Alpha, the Political Science Honor Society, to be inducted in the last 15 years at BGSU. Could our members stand up? Who are our members? Okay. This is a very small group that is going to have big impact on this campus. I can guarantee you that. I'm excited to see what they will accomplish in the coming year. And with that, I would like to turn it over to the host of the Democracy Podcast, Democracy Exchange Podcast, Samantha Conrad.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. As he mentioned, my name is Samantha Conrad, and I am a senior political science undergraduate major here at BGSU. And I also happen to be the intern for Democracy and Public Policy Research Network, or as we interns lovingly call it, DEPO. Before we start, I would like to especially thank the members of the Democracy and Public Policy Research Network Board, the elected officials who could be here today, and other important investors and stakeholders for the DEPO. I would also like to give a special thanks to the DEPO Board's own Randy Gardner, who has been praised dozens of times here. And he is the reason why all of this is happening today, and it wouldn't have been possible without him. Thank you so much, Randy. When I reflect on what the DEPO has managed to accomplish over this past school year, I am filled with so much pride. Myself and the other wonderful members of the DEPO team, Samantha Perry and Maria Lettieri, have accomplished things that I did not think would be possible at the start of this school year. And we have managed over the course of a few short months to create the following: a podcast with various expert guests with the goal to provide digestible information to people who yearn for political insight, but they might not have experience, but they want to learn. And we have, with the help of our wonderful members of USG, created a new branch of the DEPO called Point and Counterpoint. Our goal here is to foster conversation and understanding among students in our own BG community who might have differing political opinions but still want to discuss these topics in a safe and inclusive space. And thanks to our social media team, a presence here on campus with students eager to learn more and become more involved with DEPO. And of course, a DEPO advising board aimed at promoting the longevity and success of DEPO. And it has been so meaningful to see the growth of DEPO and to have been a part of that. Seeing the work that we do touch others means so much to me, and I am so excited to see where this organization will go in the future. And before I let Randy take over, I'm going to give one last very special thanks. Thank you to our founder, Dr. Alexander. Everything that DEPO has ever been and ever will be is because of him. And I cannot express how much gratitude I have for the patience and understanding and kindness that he has shown over the course of these few short months I've gotten to work with him. And I could not be more proud of everything that DEPO has accomplished, and meeting and working with the interns and getting to meet all these expert officials and governors has really meant a lot to me. And without further ado, I'm going to let Randy take over from here. Thank you so much.
Now it's our task to see if we can serve 540 people in about a half hour before our program begins. I would ask that these couple of tables here in the front with distinguished guests would begin the buffet, and then I believe catering staff is going to release tables. So thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin the program with the governors in about 2 minutes. So if there's anything you need to take care of in the meantime, please do, and we'll see you in 2 minutes.
Testing 1, 2. Yep. Hello.
Is there a button? See at the top there's a button on there.
It's
Should be a green one.
There it is.
That should be good. Try that again.
Should be good now.
Okay.
Should be on. Got to be on. Yeah.
Find out soon enough.
I'm on.
It's indeed an honor to serve today as the moderator for our program. I would like to do a few introductions first before we introduce our governors. First, the Democracy and Public Policy Network has a distinguished advisory board. Those in their own right who've had great public service careers and have been really helpful to the beginning of our program here. So I'm going to introduce them very briefly. And if you could stand, and then we'll receive applause after I've introduced all of our advisory board members. First, Leo Almeida, BGSU alum and Government Relations Director for the American Cancer Society Action Network. Samantha Conrad, who you've met, a senior political science major at BGSU, and intern for the Democracy and Public Policy Network. Betty Montgomery, BGSU alum, and former Attorney General, State Auditor, State Senator, and Wood County Prosecuting Attorney. Thomas Snitch, BGSU alum, and Director of Federal Relations for BGSU, among many other things. Pat Teaberry, former Congressman and now President and CEO of the Ohio Business Roundtable, and Chairman of Ohio Governor Mike DeWine's Executive Workforce Board. Ronald Todd, Chief of Social Impact and Opportunity for Governor Mike DeWine, and he would tell you, a member of the 1985 Falcon Football MAC Championship team. You even got applause there. See, they violated the rule for you, sir. And Ben Marison, BGSU alum and former editor of the Columbus Dispatch, who also worked for the Toledo Blade and the Plain Dealer and is one of the renowned journalists in the state of Ohio. Thank you all for serving on an advisory board. Thank you very much for all you do. Now, the next duty I'm going to do, because they've taken the time to put their names on the ballot, I know of 4 former or current elected officials that are here. If I've missed someone pass a note up here and we'll take care of it later in the program. Former or current former elected officials, former Toledo Mayor Carty Finkbeiner is with us. Former state senator and BGSU alum and student body president Kevin Coughlin. BG Mayor Mike Osbacher. And Wood County Common Pleas Judge Matt Rieger. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate that. I think we'll get into the program because I know we're going to learn a lot today from two distinguished leaders. The biographies in our programs really do not do justice to the length, depth, and impact of the careers of our 2 esteemed guests. Before we begin the questions and dialogue, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about the governors. But first, I have a question. I had alluded to the ranking in Wall Street Journal about the #1 university in the Midwest for students who would want to come back again to their university. #1. You are both graduates of Yale University, as I understand it. My question is, if you had to do it all over again, would you go to Yale or Bowling Green State University?
That's a no-brainer.
At least for today, how would you answer that question?
I love Bowling Green. It's a wonderful university.
I
It's
could not
fantastic.
resist, ladies and gentlemen.
It was good when I was governor, and it's still great.
I'm grateful for my honorary degree.
You
from
might say
Bowling.
Colorado College, too,
Yeah, I
Mr.
have-
President.
Yeah, conflict of interest.
Look, Richard F. Celeste, 64th governor of Ohio. In 1982, was first elected, one of 2 consecutive landslide victories. His vast public service career includes state representative, lieutenant governor, director of the Peace Corps, ambassador to India, and president of Colorado College, among other things. It is easy to see what an influence his grandmother had on him, as she reminded the Celeste children of one of the Bible's most earnest admonitions in the 12th chapter of Luke, to whom much is given, much is expected. Found that twice in your book, Governor. Governor Celeste's fascinating career ranks as one of the most expansive and wide-ranging in Ohio history. I commend to you his memoir, which I have with me, entitled In the Heart of It All. And if you really want to read it tomorrow, just contact Amazon and it will come to your door by tomorrow afternoon.
I have a few copies.
And the governor has a few copies as well. It is a wonderful account of his public service life. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Governor Richard Celeste.
Thank you.
Bob Taft was elected Ohio's 67th governor in 1998 and was reelected overwhelmingly in 2002. Like Governor Celeste, Mr. Taft began his official career, elected career, as a member of the Ohio House of Representatives, and then served 10 years as Hamilton County Commissioner. He defeated an incumbent Secretary of State in 1990 before his election as governor in 1998. After serving as governor, he became a distinguished research associate at the University of Dayton, where he continues to serve the university and its students to this day, and has also been active in the Alliance for the Great Lakes. Governor Taft's book, which I have here, and he indicated to me that anyone who gives me their email address or the mailing address, we will get a copy of Governor Taft's book to you. It has a long description of the many bills and achievements of the Taft years, and there are many. Third Frontier Program, $10 billion school facilities program, the biggest one in the country, and the Taft Patient Protection Act, which has provided tens of millions of dollars in savings in healthcare, providing patients with the backing and the care that they paid for in their insurance policies. That one happened in your first year as governor, and I think we signed that bill in Perrysburg in 1999. Remember? So, little self-serving, I realize, Ms. Montgomery just happened to have sponsored that bill. Yeah. So I have a first question. This is an obvious one, and then we have a number of more specific questions. But the first question to both of our guests is, why did you want to be in public service, in politics? To Governor Celeste, your father was mayor of your hometown of Lakewood. Was your father's experience as mayor a motivating factor for you to run for the legislature? And share with us how it all started for you. And then I have another question, a kind of building question with Governor Taft. Governor Celeste.
I think if I'd been around when my father was elected mayor, I might not have run for office. To the mayors in this room, that is the toughest job in American politics, because you live with it every day when you go to the store, you go to church, or you sit down at the Kiwanis Club or Rotary Club. My grandmother, Bessie Lewis, was the one who really encouraged me initially. She took me when I graduated from junior high school, so younger than the high school students here, took me to Washington, D.C. as a graduation present. We went by Greyhound bus. She was 75 years old, and took her junior high school graduate to see the nation's capital. And everywhere we went, she repeated the verse from Luke that you mentioned, and that to some much is given, others much is expected. We all have an obligation to give back. And then I had an opportunity not long after I graduated from college. I was 25. I was a personal assistant to our ambassador in India, a man named Chester Bowles, and he had been governor of Connecticut. And he had gone on to be a member of Congress and Undersecretary of State, but his favorite thing was the 2 years he spent as governor of Connecticut. And hearing his stories about state government really was what I think caught my imagination about service at the state level. And when we got back from India in 1968, I spent quite a bit of time in community activity. And in 1970, ran for the state legislature, and that was the beginning of my career in state government. And I have to say I enjoyed every minute of it.
We'll have a few more questions about the rest of that career,
Sure.
Governor. Thank you. To Governor Taft, the Taft name is possibly the most prominent in Ohio history. Your father and grandfather served as U.S. senators. Your great-grandfather was President of the United States and Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, and your great-great-grandfather was Secretary of War and U.S. Attorney General. Kind of describe for us your motivating factor as you decided to go into public office. Was your family's distinguished lineage, was that an expectation for you? Did you feel like that was something you were expected to do? Or were there other important factors that motivated you to want to enter a life of public service?
Well, as you noted, I come from a family with a tradition of public service, and that was obviously a factor. It may be in my blood, frankly. I never thought about working in the private sector. I love people who work in the private sector because they run the businesses, they create the jobs that enable us to afford having government to begin with. But in college, like many of you, I volunteered 1 year when I was in college. I coached the inner city basketball team. Another year, I was a visitor to try to help a catatonic patient at a state mental hospital. Both those experiences were very rewarding to me. When I came out of college, John F. Kennedy was still in office. He had started the Peace Corps. He had said in his inaugural address, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." That was an inspiring time for me, an inspiring moment, and so I decided to join the Peace Corps and taught school for 2 years in East Africa. That was very satisfying to me because I felt I was making a big difference in the lives of my students, enabling them to perhaps go on to secondary school or even farther, which was difficult to do at that time in that country. So I pursued that kind of a pathway. When I got back into the United States, I had a chance to work for a reform governor in the state of Illinois, a guy named Dick Ogilvy. And he created a team to help him manage state government, Bureau of the Budget. I went to work there. I really got interested and fascinated with what state government can do in people's lives, and also the role model that he provided. So when I came back to Ohio, finally, I embarked on that kind of a career.
Thank you very much. Do you have a follow-up, Governor?
No, I have a question. Can you move that podium back? Does it slide back?
I hope so.
I'm going to move forward.
We'll find out.
I don't,
So
I don't
people
like
can
not
see it.
being,
Oh. Yeah.
there we go. I want to be able
Is
to
that
see.
helpful?
Yes, because I want to be able to see you all as well
Thank
as
you.
you all. Okay?
Thank
you.
Governor Celeste
The
for being
folks from
insightful.
Perrysburg, right?
Yeah, Governor Celeste knows where the votes are.
He's on the right, I'm on the left. What can I tell you?
You know what? They're enjoying each other so much that we might have an announcement for office today. We don't know. Although one of them lives in Colorado, I think.
Yeah.
these
No
days.
way.
My next question is kind of personal, and Governor, you know this is coming. Not many people know that it was a decision by Governor Celeste that made it, if not for a decision by Governor Celeste, it would be unlikely that I'd be standing here today as a member of the state legislature for 33 years, a member of the governor's cabinet, because in 1985, Governor, you filled a vacancy in your cabinet in the Department of
Mental
Retardation,
Yep.
Developmental Disabilities, with a member, as they would say in England, of the party opposite. You appointed Republican State Representative Robert E. Brown to the cabinet, opening a vacancy in the state representative position here in Wood County. And 3 weeks later, I was appointed state representative to fill Representative Brown's seat. So first of all, thank you. And second, tell us what went into that decision, kind of an unusual decision in politics, to appoint a member of the other party to serve in your cabinet?
Well, look, I thought it would be great if Randy Gardner got a seat in the legislature.
That's the motivation. Yeah, thank you. I thought that might have been the answer.
The truth of the matter is, I did not. I felt that a cabinet had to represent the state of Ohio. I had other Republicans in my cabinet. The Director of Commerce, Al Dietzel, was a Republican. Sort of came out of your tradition. He was head of the Chamber of Commerce in Columbus when I persuaded him to come join me. Bob Brown was deeply interested in the issue of our programs, or in some cases lack of programs for folks who were served by the Department of Mental Retardation and Developmental Disabilities. And when I had a vacancy, I thought he would be terrific. He had gone on a trade mission with me, so we'd gotten acquainted when we were traveling throughout Asia promoting Ohio investment in trade. And so I knew Bob well. And I think, you can do so much as a state legislator, but when you have a department of state government to run, as you know from your experience as chancellor, that's, I think, an attractive proposition. So Bob was willing to join and did a terrific job, and it did make possible your early career.
No doubt about that. I've announced that publicly today, and and I don't think I've ever thanked you publicly before, but I'm pleased to have that opportunity. Governor Taft, you in your book, about 128 pages of really a lot of issues that you tackled, a lot of important initiatives. What do you consider to be one or two of your most important decisions that you made as governor, perhaps your most significant accomplishments? Was it a bill? Was it a budget matter? And what process did you utilize to establish your highest priorities? I know I can think of Third Frontier and some other issues that you championed. Could you describe how you went into developing your priorities, and where do you get your ideas, and perhaps maybe one or two of those most important ideas that you were able to see to success?
First of all, I want to warn you all, this book he's talking about, that's just the good stuff, okay, that happened when I was governor. So I'm following in his footsteps. Dick wrote an excellent memoir, which I recommend, and I'm following in his footsteps to try to do that, which will be a fuller review of my time in office. But when I became governor, you don't necessarily choose your own agenda always, but there was an Ohio Supreme Court decision that said the way we fund schools in Ohio is unconstitutional, particularly to the poorest districts in the poorest parts of the state in southeastern Ohio. The school buildings were horrible, deplorable, not fit to go to school in. So that was on my plate when I became governor. So with the help of a talented staff in my Office of Budget and Management, we developed a 12-year program, $10 billion, to rebuild schools throughout the state of Ohio, where the state would match local money. The poorest districts would get the biggest state match. And by the time I left office, we had projects underway in about half of the school districts in the state of Ohio. And so that was something that was important, but it wasn't necessarily what I thought about when I first started running for governor, but you have to address the challenges that are facing the state. We also tried to improve, with the help of the legislature, Randy and others, how we fund schools to make sure that the school districts that have the poorest wealth have enough money to provide a good education. Another project we had is governors are concerned, you can't control the economy, but it's a fact of life. You want your state to be competitive for jobs and opportunities. So for the people who are sitting in this room, have a chance to stay and work in the state of Ohio. And we weren't creating enough jobs in the knowledge economy. We had the older manufacturing jobs like steel that had almost gone away, and it was a big challenge. But we had research institutions. Bowling Green did some research. Ohio State, University of Cincinnati, Cleveland Clinic, University of Dayton Research Institute, Children's Hospital down in Cincinnati. How do we build off the research talent, the scientific talent here, to create more jobs and bring those together with industry and with business to move some of those ideas out into the marketplace? New companies, new products, venture capital funds, so new startups could get resources. So that was our Third Frontier project, which also continued, like the school building program after I left office as governor. And I'd like to give a big tip of my hat right here to Governor Celeste, because I became aware of this challenge about the knowledge economy in Ohio from an initiative that Governor Celeste started, the Thomas Edison program, and also the Eminent Scholars program, which was very similar to what we were trying to do. We did it on a little bit of a larger scale for a longer period of time. We got about a 10-to-1 investment back from the state dollars that we invested in terms of new federal research money coming to Ohio, new businesses, new companies, new products, and economic growth. So I think it was a somewhat courageous program, perhaps, but I think it had an impact. And I think today Ohio is better off because of that program. But I do want to give a tip of my hat to Governor Celeste, who first identified this issue.
Great, thank you, Governor. Similar question for Governor Celeste, your most significant accomplishment or achievement, and how you went about developing the policy, the program, to see it through.
Well, there are different ways to answer this. I mean, first was to get the state back on its feet. I mean, not many people in this room will remember 1982. The unemployment rate was 14% in the state of Ohio. We had a $500 million deficit when I took office, and so we had to address that economic challenge. It involved raising taxes, which was not a popular thing. In fact, I raised taxes and cut out 2 government departments, and the opposite of what you try to do if you're assuming office. But we stabilized things, and then the unexpected happened. I mean, in your case, you had a warning from the Supreme Court. I had no warning when Home State Savings and Loan in Cincinnati tanked and threatened to take down with it almost 60 state-regulated savings and loans. And so we had a serious crisis, and I, by executive order, closed 59 savings and loans for an unspecified period of time, denying 500,000 Ohioans access to their deposits. It was $5 billion at stake. It was not a popular move. It was the opposite of what you do the year before you're running for re-election. But we had to protect the depositors of those S&Ls. And with a lot of help, bipartisan agreement in the legislature and the rest, we were able to preserve the assets of all of the depositors. The only person who lost money in that crisis was Marvin Warner, the CEO and the owner of Home State. So that was an important achievement. It was something that wasn't on my agenda. You know, it was just totally unexpected. And for those of you who are students, and particularly political science students among you who are thinking about the future, I believe the measure of a leader is not what you expect to do, but how you deal with what is that tests your leadership along the way. And I mean, think of Dick Thornburg when the 3 Mile Island meltdown happened while he was a leader in Pennsylvania. So then, I mean, we could go on, but you know, we can talk too long.
Thank you. No, those are great answers, and it reminds me, your comment about the unexpected, it reminds me of Governor DeWine, who was faced with the COVID challenge.
Good example.
And many people don't realize Ohio was the first state in the nation to provide mental health funds for colleges and universities because a student was on a podcast or on a video program with the governor and basically looked into the camera and said, I'm concerned about my fellow students because they don't have access to health care and mental health services. The wait lines are too long. And the governor just stared, and we have this on video, stared into the camera and said, it shouldn't be that way. And 2 weeks later, we developed a program with the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, and we got money out the door, about $16 million within about a month. And that was responding again to an unexpected challenge, and Governor DeWine exhibited that as well. So thank you for that. I know that in your book you talk about waking up in the morning and getting a phone call in the middle of the night and responding to that challenge. Both of you have served as governor when the national economy wasn't very good. You alluded to that already, Governor Celeste. Was writing a budget the most difficult part of your job, or were there other issues that were more challenging? Perhaps home state would be one of those. And how did you tackle those problems? So specifically, with respect to budgets, that's kind of the marquee bill that's passed every 2 years in the state. Tell us a little bit about that process as you were governor. So you both introduced and passed four budgets.
The first thing I'm a former budget analyst, okay? I love budgets. So I spent a lot of time working on the state budget. And by the way, students, if you don't know, state government has to balance their budget. That means they can't spend more than they take in, unlike the federal government. So that's one of the challenges. So the budget is a very important tool through which the governor really shapes the agenda for the state of Ohio. It's one of the powers that makes being governor a great opportunity to really get some things done, like, as I mentioned, our school rebuilding program. So we presented the budget, but we can't spend a dime unless Randy and the legislators say we can spend a dime. So we had to cultivate them to get that budget passed. But then we had a recession as well, just like Governor Celeste, and that's balance the budget. The governor has the responsibility to reduce spending in line with reduced revenues when the economy goes into a recession, and that's a tough time. When you have to cut programs across the board, state departments and agencies, that's difficult decisions that are being made, and you end up, one program that I regret, Governor Voinovich had really ramped up state support to make child care more affordable throughout Ohio. Because of the state budget crisis, we had to scale that back at that time. I still regret that, but I don't know what the other options would have been. Otherwise, we might have had to have started cutting state aid to schools or other kinds of programs. So it's very, very challenging. Before, in Ohio, we have a 2-year budget, so you're planning for a 2-year period, and you work out with your staff, your team, your priorities, with the people of Ohio, you work out what the priorities will be, and then the budget is not just a financial document, it contains the priorities of the governor going forward for the next 2 years.
Governor Celeste, any budget-related stories or details to share with us?
Well, I've already described when I first came in, raising taxes and cutting out a couple of state departments, but I'll tell you a story that's sort of budget adjacent. When I was running for governor in 1981, 82, I had opposed a commitment that Governor Rhodes, my predecessor, made to Honda Motor Company. He promised them $30 million in incentives to locate an assembly plant. At that time, they only had a motorcycle plant in Marysburg. And I said, look, we've got Ford, we've got General Motors, we've got Chrysler in Ohio, existing auto companies. We shouldn't be incentivizing somebody else to come in. And I got elected, and then the folks from Honda came to see me and said, we agreed to come to Marysburg based on a $30 million commitment from the state of Ohio, and you've told us you're not going to do anything for us. What is the situation? And I had to make a decision here. I was raising taxes, cutting state departments, but we had made a commitment to the Honda folks. And I said, look, I'm going to tell you frankly, I don't have $30 million. The governor never put it in the budget. But I will work with you because I believe when the state makes a commitment, whether it's this governor or that governor, it's a commitment from the state of Ohio. So let's negotiate what I can do to help you pursue this commitment you've made. Remember, I had this terrible unemployment problem. They said they were going to create 1,200 jobs within 12 months because they were going to build this plant fast. So I agreed we were going to we needed to widen the road out. We had to put a railroad stub into the plant. And those were the two things that I would do, and that they would get an opportunity to place workers in the community college, or 2 community colleges that would serve them. And all of that could be done within the budget as we went forward. We weren't going to give them bundles of money. And to their credit, they produced within 12 months. We had a great time. Mr. Honda, who was then in his 80s, came and stood at the gate and welcomed every associate personally. It was a stunning achievement. And we built a strong relationship. But it was a matter, it's not just the budget itself, but it's what you do within the budget and how you manage it that, in the end, I think makes a big difference.
Thank you. You've already alluded a little bit to this challenge in that the political life is usually not very easy. But today, I think people might say that politics is more confrontational, contentious, perhaps more partisan than we've seen in a long time. And I'm going to ask directly, and this can go in different directions, not a leading question. What is your assessment of the current political climate, both in the state and in the nation? Does this concern you? And then I may have a follow-up question depending on how you answer the question. But Governor Celeste, would you like to go first? Nice softball question.
Look, I mean, you said it's. There was never a day when I was governor, no matter how hard it was, that I didn't love being there. I mean, I just want, for the young people here, I want to tell you that the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives was enormously rewarding. And you can do it in big ways and small ways. So I'm going to tell you a small way story, and then I'm going to get to your question because I don't want to avoid it. The small way story is this. When I campaigned across the state of Ohio for lieutenant governor, at that time I only had 5 kids. I have 7 now, but 5. And we got into a RV and we drove all over the state of Ohio and every place. And what I discovered is that the rest areas in Ohio were terrible. They were filthy. They were poorly maintained. And I said, if I ever become governor, I'm going to do something about that. And when I became governor, I had Warren Smith as my director of transportation. I called him in and I said, Warren, one of my projects is to get rid of these terrible rest areas. And he came back in probably 60 days. You know, we were trying to put people to work. He said, Dick, there's been a plan on the shelf in the Department of Transportation for years to fix up those places. And here's how we do it. It's going to cost $90 million and $90 million over 4 years, and we can pay for it with marriage licenses or some fee that he pointed to. And so we did that. And 4 years into my term, I was able to go up to a rest area outside of Mansfield, and I took a sledgehammer, and we were on television, took a sledgehammer and knocked the thing down. Well, people didn't know there was a chain around it and a tractor behind it. Pull it down if I didn't knock it down. But in any event, I mean, you know, and I used to get thank you notes from people who would drive through Ohio and say how wonderful our rest areas were. So I was, you know, there is satisfaction in it. I believe today very few people get real joy out of what they're doing as they govern. And it's sad to me, and it's frustrating to me. And I believe that the degree of polarization and of vilifying somebody who disagrees with you has become a danger to the, not just to the quality of the politics as we practice it, but to the body politic itself. And so I worry about where we are as a country. And I think that the next few months and few years are going to test every single one of us as a citizen. Our willingness to speak our mind when we disagree with somebody and our willingness to stand up for friends who are being discriminated against, our willingness to stand up for institutions that we hold dear to ourselves, a club in school that somebody says you can't have this club anymore because it's this or that or the other thing. Give me a break. So I worry about where we are, and you know, I think all of us are going to be called upon to ensure that we get the country on the right course. That's my own view.
Thank you for that, and I can attest, serving 5 years in the House of Representatives while Governor Celeste was governor, that he loved the job and was very motivated to do the job, as well as the full 8 years that Governor Taft was governor, in the same way of his getting into the details and working very hard on the issues that he cared about. Governor, would you like to respond to that question, please?
I think it was Lincoln who reputedly said that that government is best that's closest to the people, and I think it kind of works from the bottom up. At the local level, you've got so many committed citizens working on city councils, township boards of trustees, school boards, and there may be divisiveness there, but by and large, they're working together to deal with the problems and the challenges in that community. And I think that applies pretty much to the county level across the state of Ohio, moving up like Wood County. And then even at the state level, you know, it's somewhat divisive, but I think the people who are leading the state of Ohio are actually addressing the real issues and the real problems that our state faces. As you go to the national level, however, I just don't see that happening to the extent that it should, because as Governor Celeste said, it has become so polarized, so partisan, so nasty, sometimes rude, so personal, you know, demonizing of the other side, that major issues aren't being addressed. We don't really have a coherent immigration policy in the United States. We really don't have a plan to address with the long-term funding of Social Security and programs like Medicare that senior citizens like me and Governor Celeste depend upon. And other issues too, energy, the environment, climate change. These issues are not being addressed. These are tough issues to address, but they can only be addressed really in a bipartisan fashion and with leadership from a president. And that's what concerns me the most, is that kind of leadership is lacking. You know, I don't believe in general that government is the problem. We have to make government work. Government needs to be competent, needs to operate, do what it's supposed to do, and remain, you know, limited and focused on the roles that it has to perform. But we need good people like all of yourselves going into government, trying to make government work better, particularly in an elected capacity.
This next question actually came from students that we asked to submit questions, and very specifically, and I'm going to just pause for a second, we have a lot of BGSU college students here. We have a good number of high school students with us. First of all, if you're a BGSU student or a high school student who came to be with us, please stand and be recognized. We want to see you. So governors and all these, ladies and gentlemen, are our future. And specifically, they want to know what can be done. We've identified the problem, we've talked about it, but what specifically might you have for advice for young people, whether it's high school or college, to tackle this lack of civility, the lack of collaboration in government today? Do you have any specific advice as to what path they should take specifically, individually, or collectively as young people facing our future? So if there's a way to kind of provide some advice today to these young people, we'd like to hear from you.
It's really
Governor
good.
Taft?
It's really good to see so many high school students here and college students, and you know, I would encourage you to become informed and to become involved, to become engaged. Inform yourself about what's going on, obviously by reading and learning, but also reaching out to others who might know more than you do, and talking with them, asking them questions. When I was governor, I asked my staff a lot of questions. I asked all people, there was no question too stupid for a governor to ask. That was my motto. And it's important to ask questions, to reach out to people who can help you and provide information to you. And also, I really encourage you to practice in your high school or in your college, practice dialogue, civil dialogue, engaging with your peers in small groups. Don't have to do it every day, but from time to time, get together, people that may not agree with you, and try to have a discussion, because you learn so much more when you're, say, defending your own position and you're listening to someone else trying to defend their position. That can be a very educational experience. And then, obviously, just be involved like at Bowling Green, there are probably college Democrats, college Republicans, there's student government, there's all kinds of student associations in which you can really play a role, learn how to work with other people, get something good done, whatever project you're working on, and then carry that on once you graduate by being involved in your community. Volunteering on campaigns is a great way to get involved. All campaigns, most of them need volunteers at all levels, and you provide a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm that can be very helpful. You can learn a lot, you can make some connections, build some networks, but once you get involved in your community, believe it or not, ex-governor, I go back to Dayton, which I didn't know, I knew it pretty well from being governor, I never lived there. I joined the Rotary in Dayton, get to know Dayton. I got involved in the Dayton Chamber of Commerce, get to know Dayton. So, I got involved because I wanted to know what was happening in that community so that I could understand what the needs were, what the issues were, and then hopefully, hold our elected officials accountable for addressing those needs.
Thank you. Governor Celeste.
Yeah, well, I agree with everything that Bob has said. And first place, I'd ask you a question. Is there something that you care deeply about that you want to pursue? Some aspect of public policy, something about your community, whether it could be issues around climate, it could be issues around accommodating people with differences. I don't know what it might be, but if there's something you care deeply about, look for people who you share that in common with and get involved and get engaged. I want to tell you, serendipity may be the most wonderful aspect of life's experience. Serendipity, by which I mean you just happen to be there and something happens and it opens a door for you. And so I want to encourage you to be prepared for serendipity. I'm going to give an example. So my activism as a young person, your age, was in the Methodist Church. I grew up active in the Methodist Church. I got to college. I really didn't have a great time at Yale. I was alienated. Alienated from a lot of the preppies there. So I spent a lot of time in the Methodist student movement, and I became active in it. And my senior year in college, I was president of the National Methodist Student Movement, and they asked me to go testify on behalf of the Methodist student movement before a committee in Congress against the draft. We still had a draft in 1958, all the way, it had lasted since World War II. One of the few people who agreed with me on this was a senator named Robert Taft, by the way. In any event, so I'm at a House committee, I testify against the draft, and a woman came up to me as I was leaving. She said, "I'm astonished to find a student from Yale here testifying against the draft." I said, "Well, here I am." She said, "Well, you have to meet my husband. He has a vote on this legislation. He was a member of Congress. And when you get back to college, you should meet my son. He's a student there." Her name was Dorothy Bowles, so people called her Steb. And her husband was Chester Bowles, who was a congressman from Connecticut. And I went back to New Haven and became a friend with Sam Bowles. Well, and the Bowles family became friends, and it turned out that Sam had a sister, Sally, who was my age, and we got to know each other. She invited me to come work at the Peace Corps in 1963. I was working at the Peace Corps, and her father, Chester Bowles, asked me to come to lunch. And at lunch, he asked this 25-year-old to go to India as his staff assistant. So I happened to be testifying against the draft in 1958. In 1963, I found myself a staff assistant to a former governor of Connecticut who is now ambassador to India. My life has been defined by the serendipity. I got engaged in something I cared about, and there was serendipity along the way, and I was open to that opportunity. So what I would say to you is engage. I mean, that's the most important thing. Things you care about, engage on them. Be bold in how you speak. Don't let anyone knock you down. Just, my son has a motto, fall down 7 times, get up 8, right? There's a famous educator who said, failure is not a crime, low aim is a crime. All of us should be willing to get knocked down. All of us should be willing to lose on an issue. All of us should have something we care enough about that we will cause good trouble, as John Lewis would say. So those are my thoughts.
Profound advice. Perhaps one final question that can go a couple different ways. What members of your party today, in the state or nationally, do you especially believe are striving effectively to bring us together or solve problems, or effective leaders that may be part of a more bipartisan, collaborative future? And perhaps can you name a member of the other party that also is striving to bring... This is the only question I didn't tell you about that before we... a member of the other party who may be striving to do some of the things, not that you agree with all the time, but that you may find at least striving to find solutions in the bipartisan spirit by which the both of you came to our university today.
Well, Bob Taft would be my guy from the other party.
I thought that would
Vice
happen.
versa.
I thought that would happen. But what are we going to do for the next 4 minutes?
Vote for Celeste.
You've been known to do that before, Governor, haven't you?
Well,
Governor Taft, please, if you don't mind. If you
well,
do mind, you don't have to answer.
yeah, of course, I really admired, people who have passed on. Governor Voinovich was kind of a role model for me, became a senator thereafter. Rob Portman was a U.S. Senator from Ohio, who I think really worked across the aisle to get a lot of really good things done. He was there for the right reasons. He had experience at the federal executive level as budget director, a trade representative. He knew what he was doing. He got a lot done. I'm a good friend and big supporter of our new Senator, John Husted. John was Speaker of the House when I was governor, and we really were able to work very well together and get a lot of good things going together. I teach a course about the U.S. Congress down at the University of Dayton, so I do watch some of the Democrats, and one I am impressed with is a new senator from Michigan named Alyssa Slotkin. She's a former CIA employee. She's got a lot of experience in government, and I hold high hopes for her, and I think I'll just leave it at that.
Governor Celeste, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I damn people with faint praise, or I don't know. I like Senator Slotkin. I think I liked her brief and to the point response to the State of the Union message. I thought that was really, maybe in a way, more what we need, common sense and not so much vitriol. Michael Bennet is the senior senator from Colorado, and a very, very thoughtful individual. He's so thoughtful that he's going to leave the Senate and come back and try to run for governor of Colorado. And he spent a lot of time in Ohio. When I was governor, he had just graduated from college, and he came and worked for me for a couple of years. So he cut his eye teeth doing what I think a lot of you hopefully will get a chance to do, working for someone as a young person. Who on the Republican side right now? I mean, one of the things that I'm kind of distressed by is that there aren't some folks to stand up when the president is doing the most nonsensical things that he might be doing. I think again, I mean, I would probably look to folks at the state and local level more for examples there, or past serving people. I mean, John McCain was certainly somebody that I respected enormously because he would speak his mind to everyone, his friends and to his adversaries. And I miss that. And I'd like to see more of that, I guess.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce President Rogers to come back up in a second, but first of all, I want to encourage, especially members of the community, Keep looking for ways in which you can engage with the Democracy and Public Policy Network. We'll have additional community events and outreach to our students, both at the university level and the high school level. We encourage you to stay involved, to get involved. If you're a high school teacher or administrator here today, let us know how BGSU can help you and how we can continue to engage with your students in an effective way. And so with that, and I would like to finally say that thank you, President Rogers, not only for, again, establishing the network, but also for hiring Director Alexander to help lead us. He's done a fabulous job. I'm just honored to be his assistant. And
for buying lunch.
Pardon me?
And for buying lunch.
And for buying lunch. Well, the president bought lunch. So,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He bought lunch for
So
all of
a
us.
round of applause, not only for his leadership, but for hosting lunch today. President Rogers, please.
Well, again, thank you all for being here.
Pull the
today.
mic up because they'll hear you better.
I didn't realize how short you were. I don't know if this is working even, I don't know. I have a token of appreciation for both of our governors. Thank you for visiting
Thank you very
Bowling
much.
Green. It's an amazing glass piece. We have an amazing school of art here at Bowling Green. The colors are the right colors, orange and brown, but we are so appreciative of your time here.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
very
so much.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Whoa.
And so in closing, I'll just say.
really is beautiful.
The 64th and 67th governor of Ohio, one Republican, one Democrat. I'm sure there's some disagreement on policy over your careers. There is. That's the way democracy works. But here's what I heard. I heard the common commitment to education, finding ways to improve education, K through 12, higher ed, but the entire education ecosystem. I heard about the importance of the economy, whether it be the third frontier or the Edison centers. I heard about this idea of collaborating, taking joy in the state moving forward. I heard about dealing with the unexpected that every leader needs to deal with, and both of you dealt with just challenging times. A commitment to Ohio, the idea of getting involved and getting engaged, and that is just so important for all of us. And this idea of preparing for serendipity, taking advantage of opportunities like that, the importance of civil discourse and practicing discourse. What great advice we had today. So I can't tell you, Chancellor Gardner, Randy Gardner, thank you. Dr. Alexander, Rob, thank you, and all the faculty and staff, and the advisory board of Depot. I want to thank you for your work and leading us as well. We are honored to be a public university for the public good. These two gentlemen have created a lot of public good. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great to have you here.
It's good to be here. Thank you. Really.
It's terrific. Great program. Wonderful. Very good.
Yeah. Yes.